All right, we're on the air. Welcome, Tim Stout. Thank you for being here today. Thanks for spending the time, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. So the topic today is you lose everything and you have to start all over again. You don't have a brand, you don't have business, you don't have center of influence, you don't have anything, and you have to start all over and get back to where you are. But before we do that, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us where you sell real estate. Tell us a little bit about you.
Okay. Hey, my name is Tim Stout. I am the owner and team leader of the Tim Stout Group in South Atlanta and East Tennessee. Uh, I have been selling real estate for 13 years now. I've sold over 3,000 transactions. I have about 30 people on the Georgia team and about a dozen people on the Tennessee team. Also own two brokerages, mortgage company, title company, and a property management business. So I'm fully engulfed into real estate, and I'm a past life a retired professional fighter.
Is that it? That's all you've done then? I mean, that's a lot, man. That's a lot, right? And
Mhm.
so I think it's also important to note that like as we go through this plan, of like, hey, you start all over, like you actually did that, right? Because you moved, I think, from Tennessee and you were new to the area that you started selling real estate, right?
Yeah, and I've been down here for about 2 years, I guess. And everybody who knew me from fighting, and which is cool, but it's like you're not going to trust that guy. So it was a couple years before I developed enough trust with my sphere of influence and well, just my sphere of influence. I didn't have any
Yeah.
past clients before they were finally calling me, and it took a lot of work. So I basically had done this, but now I talking through it, is sort of the same thing I did in East Tennessee. And the next time I build a team, I'll build it the way that we're discussing, because it'll be through two trials, two builds, and each time I do it, it gets a little easier because I take away the issues, the problems, the mistakes that I made, and I can capitalize on the good stuff that I've done.
And cut down the learning curve because you've already done it and you've made those right. That's exactly why we're doing this, is so that people can be like, okay, like what would somebody who's an uber top percenter, like you're like a 1%er, you might even be the 1% of the 1% at this point, like what would they do if they started all over with the knowledge that they have right now? And so really interesting, right? Because you come up through our coaching program and now you coach for us. And so there's also going to be some insight there, right? Some of your clients that you're coaching are going to be like, wait a minute, he told me to do that. So there's insight on that too. So let's just jump right into it. Like, what would be the first? So you wake up tomorrow, you don't have any of the empire that you've built. What would you do first? Week one.
I would talk to as many people as I possibly could. And I'm assuming I don't have any money. I'm assuming I don't have
That's
anything.
right. That's
Okay.
right.
I would talk to as many people I could, and I would do as much content as I could based around that. I would champion the public to be a part of my story and be a part of my success. I would document every door that I knocked. I would document all the conversations I was having. I would document the education that I could give. I could document anything I could do to benefit the community of buyers and sellers, the community of Noonan, Georgia, and I would double down on that until I had my first couple of closings. Then I had some money that I could invest into the business.
Okay, cool. So let's start there, right? So I wrote down four things, and hopefully whoever's watching is, as you're watching this right now, hopefully you're writing that down too. So the first thing is talk to as many people as possible. Why did you choose that as the first thing you said?
Well, you can't sell real estate unless someone is willing to talk to you. That's step one. You can't show your value until someone is ready to talk to you. You can't build rapport. You can't build connection until someone is ready to talk to you. So the more conversations I had, the more likely the chance I have of building conversation, building rapport, and developing a relationship with someone know, like, and trust me to allow me to help them buying, selling, investing in real estate, or pass me to someone they know who does.
Nice. And then you said make as much content as possible. I'm assuming the next three things that I wrote down that you said kind of go together, right? You said, make as much content as possible. And just to be specific, content, what we're talking about is social media, right? Videos, those kinds of things on Instagram. What platforms would you be on?
All of them. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, I'd be on all of them. And it would be one thing I'd be doing while I'm talking to these people. I'd be trying to collect their email addresses. Email is highly, highly overlooked by most industries. But you'll notice the big brands, you know, when you're shopping at Nike and you're shopping for golf and all these things, they email you. There's such there's such a great brand with the emails because you actually own that content. You don't own your social media. You don't own Google. But
right, the traffic, you mean. You own that traffic.
Absolutely. And as long as I'm providing value, they'll continue to click.
Nice. And so then you also said, right, so making as much content as possible. And I've had the luxury of coaching you. And so watching you go through this, so I kind of know the dots to connect that you're connecting. And I want us to connect the dots for them. So it's like creating as much content as possible, inviting the public to participate. Why did you say that?
People want to be a part of your story. They want to be a part of your success. And by championing the public, it allows them to push you, to motivate you. And if they feel a part of your story, they want to be a part of your success. And you are absolutely, you know, you're giving. But when you do your ask and the public that you've attracted are going to know what they need to do to help you succeed. And that's by referring people, letting people know about you. And so you're building up every person that you can influence is a little, what's the word? They are
advocate.
Absolutely perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting because, you know, one of the things that we're always teaching people at the camp and inside the program is that, especially team leaders, is that people support what they create. They support the movements they think they create. They support the ideas that they come up with. Like, they support what they create. And if the community feels like they're the ones that helped create Tim Stout or whoever that agent is, they're going to support that agent to the end. Absolutely. Right. So that's a good idea. And then documenting the entire thing. Now, here's the thing, right? Like, watching you come up and build this empire, at first it seemed like you were making content when you first started, right? Like, you're making content, doing your thing. And then you got the idea of, well, like, wait a minute, I should be documenting that I'm documenting. Like, I should like document that I'm doing this. Why would you document the whole thing?
Behind the scenes, people want to work with busy realtors. Like, people followed me around, and, like, you know, we did that video a couple of years ago, the day in the life.
Yeah.
People feel like I show up to work. You know, I get up in the morning, I do a couple of workouts, I show up to work, I work a few hours, and then I'm done. But what they don't see is all the intricate parts of the business that I also still perform. So by documenting, they're going to be able to see me filming, editing, prospecting, calling 100 people a day, you know, following up on social media, they're going to see all this stuff. And I think people want to work. People want you to succeed. And the more they feel like you're working for it, that nobody wants anybody to get lucky. Nobody.
Yeah. Right.
So you got to let them know that you're out hustling for it, that you're trying to earn your way. You don't want nothing give to you. And I think that allows people to work with you in a different way.
I think so too. Now, something that I think people would find intriguing, and is like, what you wake up tomorrow, you've lost everything. You got to start all over to build back to where you are right now. In the first week, what we're hearing is massive action to get a lot of attention. I'd have to let people know, hey, you got to know that I'm an option as a realtor. And so I'm going to talk to as many people as possible. I'm going to produce as much content as possible. I'm going to invite the public to participate. I'm going to document the entire thing. But what would Tim Stout's morning routine look like? Like, what would his, not even morning routine, because you mentioned the day in the life video, and maybe we can put that somewhere in this video for people if they wanted to go back and watch your YouTube. I think it's on your YouTube still. But like, what would your daily routine, because I often brag about your daily routine. I would love for you to share that. Like, what would it be?
It'd be very similar to what it is now, knowing how to get to success. My day starts, my alarm goes off at 4:03. I'm in my vehicle at 4:30. I'm at the gym by about 10 minutes till 5. I warm up and I start lifting weights. I lift weights for about an hour. Then I immediately walk into the jiu-jitsu room. Then I instruct a jiu-jitsu class. And then I'll produce content for my self-defense and my mixed martial arts stuff, which only takes 20 minutes. And then I'm in the car and I'm in the house. I'm at the office by 8. And anything on my checklist gets done between 8 and 9. At 9 o'clock, my prospecting starts. That's when I start hammering out the calls. I always look for new business first, and I want to focus on new business to fill the pipeline. And that probably takes 45 minutes to an hour. And then I'll work on follow up. Follow up, I'll work on anybody that I have a scheduled time to talk to. I work on my past client, my sphere of influence, which I try to keep, around 100 people that I talk to monthly, conversations, not texts, not emails, and try to get in front of them. And then the rest of it would be content. That's all social medias. That's emails. That is appointments and anything I can do to get in front of people face to face.
Nice. And then going to lunch at the Bad Mexican or something around noon.
Pretty close. Which I also, I talk to everybody I see.
Well, that's one of the things, like, right, like I've hung out with you and trained your team out there and all that kind of stuff, and to see your morning routine. It's one thing for people to say, have your miracle morning routine. It takes no talent to hustle and like all these cliches, but then to literally watch you do it is another thing. Like, one of the things that I tell people inside the coaching program is I'm like, I know what, if I look at what time it is, I can tell you where Tim is.
100%.
I'm in California, you're in Georgia, and I can tell you where Tim is based on the time, because he is a creature of habit, and he's built habits that built what he has, right? So after noon, you go to lunch, and I typically notice, like, when we would go to lunch, we literally can't have lunch without somebody bumping into you every 5 minutes. Hey Tim, like everybody knows you. How would you, is that part of what you were saying in week one? Is like, I would be talking to as many people as possible, inviting the public to participate, so that you had that kind of thing. You go to lunch, you're like semi-famous kind of.
Yeah. One of the things, I attribute, like, people like, well, they're asking me, like, how did you know to do this? And I'm like, I didn't know to do anything but work hard. Like, Coach David gave me the playbook to do. And I am a person who's been coached my entire life, and I do what I'm told. And I remember you told me that I have to be the social media mayor.
The mayor, yep.
And I focused on that. By not only doing real estate content, I do a lot of local content. And people, they know who I am because of my videos. They know who I am and I do a lot of giving back.
Yes,
my business is it teeters big business. Small towns don't want to do business with big business. They put up signs, don't bring in Walmart. They put up signs, don't bring in Publix, because they want to work with small hometown people. For me to continue with that, be doing hundreds of transactions a year, I give back to the community personally. I train all the local police. I train them in jiu-jitsu. I feed them 2 or 3 times a year. We bring a food
even the ones that are stubborn.
Even those guys. And we actually, me and a couple other businesses, just recently wrote a big check to pay off all the school lunch debt for the entire county. And that affects thousands of families that, when you don't have money to eat, you get a cheese sandwich. So, and I was explaining stories when I was, when I grew up. I got very humble beginnings. And somebody gave me a damn cheese sandwich. I crawled underneath the damn table. Like, it had been so embarrassing. And we were lucky enough just to have free lunch, when you're poor as we were. But now they don't do that. And so I don't think anybody should have to do it. So I literally called 2 people, because you are the median, the 5 people you hang out with. I called 2 other business owners, and I said, I'm about to write a big ass check. Do you want to help? I didn't even tell them what it was for. And both of them was like, yes. Because we champion the community so much. And it's been my most popular post on Facebook last 12 months. And I've got, 400,000 followers on Facebook. So,
yeah, and you've always kind of been like that, right? Because you did that with the police department. You did that with the fire department. You did that when the tornado came through. Remember that big tornado that came through? And like, I remember you were like the first one on the scene. You were like, got my team. We're not selling real estate today. Boom, we're going to go do this. So like, yeah, you've always been a true community expert. And I think that's something that lacks, right? So the first week, what we're doing is we're talking to as many people. We're doing all this stuff that we've been talking about. You're following this morning routine. What do you start doing once you get a couple of deals? And by the way, how long do you think that routine goes? Do you think that goes for a week and then you're onto a different plan? Or do you think how long do you think that goes?
Forever.
Well, yeah, you'll continue doing those things forever. But when is the next phase, I guess is what I'm saying.
After a couple deals. And I would get a couple deals. Like I got back into sales a couple months ago, and, me and you was talking about it. And probably about 6 weeks in, I closed, I think it was like 9 deals last month. and just getting back into it. No pipeline, just starting to hustle.
I think it was 10. It was like 10 out of the 15 or something like that.
It was a lot.
Yep.
I would get deals within the first couple of weeks. By far, as soon as I get someone to listen to me and talk about real estate, I would get the deals and I would invest. And the first thing you invest in is you always invest in yourself. Because one thing I want to push, everybody wants the new silver shiny object and thing that's going to help them close the deals. What's going to help you close the deals is the 6 inches between your ears. And investments that I make into myself, no one can ever take. I would hire a coach immediately. That'd be my first hire. Then
which you've done. You've proven that over and over and over again. That is what you do.
That's what I did too. Yeah.
Yeah. You still do it today. So like you would start investing. So like one is coach, but then would you start putting money behind this marketing?
It depends. I would definitely want it to be seen, but I think most social media content should be organic. I don't know if I would run a lot of social media ads anymore or not. Knowing what I know now.
Would you buy leads? Or not at this point because you haven't built your team back up. It's just you.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I would buy leads. I would probably, after I got a coach, I would probably hire an assistant. And what that person would do would anything clerical, anything that's not worth anything that's not at least $100 an hour, I would have that person do it. That person be monitoring my emails, monitoring my schedule, getting my listing packets ready, getting my buyer packets ready, getting anything done that causes me to sit at a desk that's not talking to a potential client. That person would do it, which would free me up to talk to twice as many people. Therefore, it becomes leverage. If I get that time back and don't do nothing with it, it's not leverage. It's a cost. It is costing me money. It's a debt. But if I can use that time to double the people that I contact, which in turn, the law of math, you've always taught me, if I double my actions, most likely I'm going to double the result. Yep. And then I'll have more investable income for my business.
I love it. Okay, so here's how I'm kind of organizing this, right? So it seems like, and we'll just call it month 1 is just massive action, getting attention, becoming the mayor, building a strong foundation of center of influence and getting some deals in the pipeline. Month 2 is where you start investing in a coach to put stuff on steroids, right? To really just go to the next level and really make sure you're mastering your skills, make sure you're making the right moves. And then you're also hiring an admin assistant to get all the low dollar activities off your plate, $100 or less, where you're investing in what you like to call top of funnel activities. So you're even doing more now, right? Which makes sense because if you're talking to as many people as you can, you are producing as much content as you can, you're inviting the public to participate, you're doing, that's a lot of stuff, dude. And then you're doing this morning routine, you're getting workouts and you're doing all this stuff. Like you by now have business and you need somebody to service that business. There's income producing and there's income servicing, and you need to stay in the income producing while somebody now takes over the income servicing. At this point, you haven't started hiring agents, have you?
Not yet.
No. Okay. And so once you've done that, so month 1, you've taken all this action. Month 2, you've delegated all these activities where you're even taking more action. Where do you think you are at this point, and what's the next phase?
Next phase for me would be, because obviously if I've doubled the actions, I'm getting more incoming. My next hire, I don't know if it would be within that second month, but my next hire would definitely be someone who specializes in listing management and contract to close. That's their only job. Because the biggest complaint in the real estate industry is lack of communication. So I would hire someone who would over communicate, via me. That'd be their thing. And I wouldn't hire an agent. If I had to build my business again, I would be very minimal of hiring agents. I would hire agents, but they would be paid hourly to open doors for me to write contracts and negotiate. That leverages my time the most because so many agents are, and I was the guy too, because there was no such thing as a showing agent then.
Yeah, and I remember.
You can pay people who can't produce as a real estate agent who still enjoy it. You can pay them, an hourly fee to open a door, and then I follow up with the client. I negotiate. I get the house, and that way my highest and best dollar activity is appointments. And that's an appointment, but I'm not spending 45 minutes on the road, an hour in a house, and then 45 minutes back.
See, now this is so intriguing because one of the things that I have been yelling from the mountaintops is that like scaling doesn't always mean more profit. In fact, it means less. The more you scale, the less profit you have, the more headaches you have, hiring more agents. And it seems cool having all this stuff. But like what's interesting is, I mean, what's the biggest your team ever got?
We're at 30 now here. We probably had close to 40.
Dude, I mean, like, how many people have 30, 40 people? That's very few, right? Like, and these people all make good livings, right? These people, like, you provide a lot, but it's a lot of work. And if people think you just hire these agents and then you just go sit on the beach and sip a Mai Tai, that's what it's. You're just doing different activities at a higher level for less profit margin, right? And so I find it fascinating that somebody who has built the machine is like, if I had to do it over again, I think I would take, instead of taking market share revenue mode, I would take profit mode.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We haven't talked about this, but I can't tell you how proud I am that you've come to that conclusion. I'm really happy about it.
I've got a good coach.
Well, yeah, I'm happy you came to that conclusion because the team thing is a craze. And there's also a whole other aspect about it that we won't get into on this podcast, which is like giving back, right? Which is why you coach inside of our company, is that you want to give back and you want to help people along the way, right? So month 3 is what it seems like we're moving into. Month 1 is you're taking massive action, right? And and it's so funny. It's like, well, Coach Tim, how many conversations should I have? As many as possible. Well, how many videos should you do? As many as possible. I remember there was one time you were like, I don't know what to do a video on. This was years ago. This was like 2016, 2017. And you were like, I don't know what to do a video on. I'm like, well, have you done a video on every single home you've ever sold? And you were like, no. And it was early in your career. And I was like, well, how many homes have you sold? And you were like, oh, like 36. And I'm like, well, you should do a video on every one of those. And you were like, really? And I was like, yeah. And then in 2 weeks, you did 36 videos. Like you did so many videos.
And those were pending contracts. Those wasn't all I sold. Those were pending.
I know.
Yep. Yeah. So we just did the 36 pending. I had my camera and I rode around every house, got in front of it. Yeah. Told the story, what we did. And we were killing
I remember you were doing so many of them that one time you had to look back at the address. You were like, I'm standing in front of this address. You're doing so many of them. But that's the point, right? You're taking all that massive action. And it's like, well, how many conversations did I have? As many as you can. And if you are starting all over, it's not like you can sit there and do the business plan thing where you go, okay, well, I got to do this many transactions. I'm going to multiply. Like you need to overextend. You need to do too much. You need to figure out what too much is and just do as many as possible. Massive action. I think the way you said it one time is like, if I'm standing at a lake, I don't want to throw rocks into the lake. I want to take cinder blocks and I want to throw them in and make massive waves as much as I can. And that's month 1, basically. And then you get some deals under your belt. And now you start to say, okay, well, how do I get myself out of these low dollar activities? Doing the contracts, the transaction work, all that kind of stuff. And now it sounds like when you go to month 3, and this is fascinating, I hope all the team leaders are listening to this. What you're saying is, knowing what I know now, if I were to do it all over and get back to where I am now, I would actually hire my core like secret sauce service team, like my listing coordinator, my showing specialist, my transaction coordinator, those things. And I wouldn't hire as many agents. Would you hire any agents?
Eventually. But what my goal would be, once I get a lot of team leaders, a lot of people hire agents or they bring agents onto the team for the sole purpose of feeling like they're working with their buyers. And because I've heard a lot of team leaders say, like, well, buyers are my lowest producing activity. Yeah, but you have 3 listings. You have plenty of activity. Like until you are losing deals, no other leverage should be hired. And because I want that showing agent, I want that person to work with the people that I'm working with directly. Yeah. Once I bring on buyers is because we're getting so many leads coming in that it doesn't make sense for me to lose. I'd rather have, 50, 60% of a commission that I would have lost than none of it.
Yeah. So interesting. And there's another aspect that I think that you would be doing in this third month because I remember the conversation we had that kind of puts you on like full-blown addiction. Like you do it all the time. Is like, at what point would you start investing into what you sell?
Real estate.
Yeah, buying your own stuff and that kind of stuff.
The second I found deals, the first thing I do when I walk through a property is find out if I want this property, and I still do it to this day. I mean,
Say that again.
If I want the property, like that's the first thing I think. Do I
When
want
you
this
go on a
property?
listing appointment, that's the first thing you think.
Or if I walk through a buyer's appointment, which I don't do a lot of those, but like, do I want this? How can I make money? And what would work that way? I mean, this year, what is today? February 20th.
20th?
I've already flipped one property this year, bought two, and closed on a quadplex. And so that's 6 units already in February, and we're negotiating 12 in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. And where would you say you've made most of your wealth in real estate? In helping people buy and sell, or doing it yourself? Or is it kind of equal?
It's kind of equal, but
You've sold so many houses.
We've sold about 3,000, so it's
Yeah.
really hard to beat that. But this year,
Yeah.
I will make more investing than I will in sales. I've flipped a couple properties already. Six-figure profits. I'm flipping an apartment complex in Tennessee that'll be a 7-figure profit.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, there'll definitely be more in investing this year.
So here's what I'm hearing in this entire thing, right? I'm hearing that you would start the foundation with massive action. And then as you scale, the goal would be to make it so that you can continue taking the massive action on the things that move the needle by hiring the things that are not essentially the power four: prospecting, lead follow-up, negotiate contracts, and go on appointments.
Yeah. And I would hit all that. I'd have people doing the other busy work.
Right. And then paying them salaries and all that kind of stuff. You once said, and I want you to speak to this because I think any team leaders need to hear this. You once said that what you've discovered was that the core of your business is your admin team, and that agents tend to come and go.
Yeah. And that's 100% the truth. And your team is not your salespeople. Your salespeople are a lot like your clients. They're not loyal to you. They're only loyal to the service you provide.
Right.
So if somebody comes along with a little shinier object, they may go. Somebody comes along with a different commission split, they may go. But teaching people to sales is a specialty that I learned from you. I can teach it to anybody. Teaching people that can document a process and go line item by line item in an operations, how things work, that is a business. Because if I remove them, I have no business. I have a bunch of gorillas running around making messes because I'm that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. You're the creative.
Mackenzie's with me for years, and she
is the bomb. Yeah.
Still picks up my messes.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And if all the agents quit tomorrow, you guys still have a very strong business. But if your admin team is all gone tomorrow, it's like, ugh, now you have to rebuild. Like, we'll rebuild what? The actual business. So that, I think that's something that a lot of people don't take into consideration. When somebody wants to scale, the first thing they think about is how many agents can I get? And it's like, dude, you're selling 6 houses a year and you don't have any admin team and you want to hire agents under you? Like, you don't have a business to plug people into. And so what you're saying is, like, that's the foundation.
If you don't have an admin, you are an admin. And I mean, you're somebody's got to do the work to make sure the ball don't hit the floor. And with administration, and especially, like, I've spent 13 years in this business, and some of my people have been with me 9-10 years, or one of them has. It's like she knows exactly what I'm thinking. When I don't have to tell them anything, because I've trained one person very well of what I needed. And then that person goes, and I continue to invest in that person. I'm a person, I invest in myself. You
do.
I want to learn. I want to be the best. And I've done the same for her. She's about to graduate with her MBA. And so she's with a minor in real estate, or a focus in real estate.
Yeah. Wow.
So she's going to be able to bring great value. And we poured into her because she's phenomenal. She runs the admin team just like I run the sales team.
She's really good. Saw her on the training the other day. And that's fascinating, right? She's your admin, and we call her the queen because she handles all the transactions and all that. But why is she on the sales training? because she's trying to get better.
Yeah.
Right. And there's conversations she's going to have where she can use influence techniques. And so it's crazy how like she's investing too. And when you have the right people, everything takes care of itself. So to recap this, number one is basically the whole strategy. Month one, you're taking massive action. You're becoming the mayor. Month two, you start investing in coaching and you start getting your first admin assistant to get the things off your plate. And then month three is where you start to scale things, where you start to hire other places other than just one admin. You start to hire an admin team and you start investing in real estate. Is there anything else you'd be doing in that third month to make sure you're solidifying back where you are right now?
No, but nothing stops. You don't graduate away from anything.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't, because people want to.
Important part.
People want to quit doing what's hard because they think there's something easier out there. And I've been doing this a long time. I've closed a lot of transactions, and nothing will get you more deals than working your past client sphere of influence, which is the first thing that you read when you start in real estate. It's the first video you watch. Everybody tells you that. Yep. But everybody wants that shiny button.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's interesting. You already know this, but like a lot of you listening don't know that I was fortunate enough to play professional baseball for 6 years. And when we won our 2 championship rings, I got interviewed by USA Today. Now, I got interviewed by USA Today because I got ejected out of the game. It's the only time I've ever been ejected out of a game. And and it turns out it was like a whole plan like that I wasn't in on, that they were going to like, I'm going to eject David Kesey, and it's a whole gimmick thing. But anyway, I'm getting interviewed and they said, now mind you, I'm a professional baseball player at this point. I'm the 1% of the 1%. And they said, what's the greatest piece of advice you ever got for baseball? And I thought about it, and it blew my mind that this was it, but this is still it. And it was, keep your eye on the ball. It's literally the first thing anybody ever told me was to keep your eye on the ball. It turns out cliches are there for a reason, right? So when you say the center of influence is the foundation of your business, like your Hall of Fame 100, like that is so important for people to understand, because they don't want to take the time to do that. Like what I noticed you didn't say, and we're running out of time here, but what I noticed you didn't say was, I'd call expireds, I'd call FSBOs, I would door knock, I would do just listed, just solds. Like you weren't trying to go after immediate new business. You were trying to build a foundation.
Those people should have already knew about me if I was doing my social media correct.
Good point. Good point. And it seems like the center of influence will serve you for the rest of your career, where there's other ones become your center of influence as they come into your world.
I hired someone, her entire job is to contact every one of our past clients, and we do events every other month. And we do big events. Like we shut down a local bar and we do like cocktail hours. It's just us. We shut down parks. We shut down movie theaters. And it's just a chance for us to sit around and just let them know that we love them. It's just like, come in, it's on us. Like let's hang out. Some people show up for 3 hours. Some people show up for 3 minutes.
Yep. And that's why you've got the nickname, the mayor, in this program. We call you the mayor, dude. I absolutely got a ton out of this. I hope that everybody listening to this did too. How do people get a hold of you if they need referrals, or they want to give you referrals or connect with you? How do they get a hold of you?
Facebook, Instagram, The Tim Stout, or they can email me at tim@mybrokerage.com.
Nice. I love it, dude. I really appreciate you spending the time, man. It means a lot.
I appreciate you giving me on.
All right, brother. See ya.